And I started to see that we've got so much going for us that we never hear about. School doesn't teach us. Our parents don't teach us. You go to work for a company, they don't teach you. So the odds of learning it are really slim, you know. And it's the reason there's so few people that really are successful in life.
Now you said, I think at 26 or 27, that's when you started to wake up, or you started to have some type of awareness about yourself, the world, the universe, life. What happened when you started to wake up?
It was dramatic what happened. I was on the fire department in a suburb of Toronto, and there was a man near there who became a friend of mine. He was a friend of a lot of people. I just was fortunate enough to meet him, Ray Stanford. He gave me a copy of Think and Grow Rich, and he said, Bob, do you ever read anything? And I said, no, I can't read. Now, that wasn't true. I could. I found out I read about as well as most people. I think the average person reads at about a grade 7 level. And they learn to read by the time grade 7, and then they never improve upon it from that point on. But he said, if you do exactly what I tell you and read this book every day, you can have anything you want. Well, I was unhappy, I was sick, I was broke, and you can have anything you want. I thought it was nonsense. But he said something else. He said, listen, my way's working, yours isn't. He was happy, healthy, and wealthy. The guy always had money on him. And big, healthy guy. And he said, you're unhappy, sick, and broke. So he said, I must know something you don't know. Why the hell don't you do what I tell you? Well, I think something clicked. Now, people had tried to reach me. I was 26 since I was a kid, and none of them ever did. And so I started to do what he suggested. And he said, what do you really want? Well, all I wanted was some money. I was earning $4,000 a year at the time, and I owed $6,000. So, if I had paid everything I earned for 18 months, I would have just broken even.
Wow.
It was an impossible situation. And I was just looking at what was. I couldn't see beyond that, so that's what made it impossible. And he said, listen, write what you want on a card. Now, I got a gold card in my pocket. I've carried one ever since. He said, write what you want on the card. You can have anything you want. So he said, what do you really want? And I said, I want some money. I figured if I had enough money, all my problems would go away. Everybody, I was getting the phone, where's the money? They were always after me, people I owed money to. So I wrote that I wanted to have $25,000. And now, if I had got together all the people I know, or knew at that time, and put all their money together, we wouldn't have come up with $25,000. We probably wouldn't have come up with $1,000. It was an enormous amount of money. It was nuts. So I wrote that in the card. He said, you got to read it every day. And he'd keep saying, did you read it? Did you read it? So he got me reading it. And
reading the book or reading the card?
No, read the gold card.
The card,
read the gold
$25,000.
Just a gold card. Read the gold card. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have $25,000. And I learned something very important from it. All I thought about prior to that was debt, because people are always phoning me, when are you going to pay me? If you think about debt, you're going to be in debt forever.
Yeah.
You become what you think about. Well, this gold card got me thinking about earning money. I never thought of earning money before. I thought about debt all the time. And it got me thinking of earning money. So I started to hear people talking about earning money. And because I heard them talking about it got me thinking about it. And some guy said, there's good money cleaning floors. I said, I'm not proud of cleaning floors. I was prepared to do anything. I wanted to earn this money. I said, I wanted to earn money. So I started to clean one office. And by the end of the year, I was earning $14,500 a month.
What?
I was on the fire department. The chief was only earning $11,500 a year.
Wow.
I was earning $14,500. This was in a year from the start. I started to clean one office. It was Canada Starch. I'd wash the floor twice a month, $15 a time. I got $30. Then I got another one, Kirby's Construction. I got $65 a month. Well, do you know, in less than 5 years, I was cleaning my office in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England. Things going like a rocket. And I was listening to Earl Nightingale's recordings. I was listening to, or reading Think and Grow Rich. And every cleaner, I had them studying the same stuff I was studying. Well, none of us knew much about cleaning floors. We just did a good job. We cleaned, but somebody asked me what I was doing, I'd say I was cleaning offices. It was almost incidental to what I was doing. I could have been selling siding for houses.
Didn't matter.
It was what I was studying, what I was doing with it. I was getting the other people to study it. And I was very irresponsible. I was earning all this money. I was earning well over $1 million a year. I was living in London. I'd go down to the Playboy Club on Park Lane, play roulette. I didn't even care if I lost, and I hardly ever did. I almost always won. I seemed to know where the money was. And one day I thought, this isn't very responsible. I don't know what the hell triggered it in my mind. And I thought, how did this happen? And I didn't know. I didn't know how my life had changed so dramatically, but it had changed dramatically and in a short time. I'd been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you're going to be really smart. I knew I wasn't very smart, but I was earning a lot of money, so I thought that's not true. I was raised to believe if you're going to get a good job, you've got to go to school. Well, I hadn't gone to school. I didn't have a good job. I owned the whole company.
Right.
So I thought, that's not true. So I started to wonder about all the things that I believed. Are they true? They're not true. And so then I had to know what happened, and I couldn't find out. It took me 9.5 years to figure out what I actually did.
How you got to where you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were talking prior to starting this about mentors. I believe they're essential in life. And as I look back, I have been fortunate enough to study with some absolutely brilliant people. I mean, giants. And any success I've enjoyed is because I've had great direction.
Wow.
And starting with the first one, he says, do exactly what I tell you until you find out I'm lying or I don't know what I'm talking about. So that's sort of a rule I followed. When I pick a person that I'm going to choose as a mentor, I do exactly what they tell me until I find out they're lying or they don't know what they're talking about. And they don't lie, and they do know what they're talking about. So I've had great instruction in my life. And it works.
Wow. Who's the most memorable mentor for you?
Well, Ray Stanford, first of all, but they're all very all very important.
Different ways.
Earl Nightingale, huge. I started to study his recordings, and then I wanted to work with him. And I saw where he had distributors, and so I became a distributor. And I left my business. I was prepared to pay them to let me work there. I wanted to work with him because I knew if I could work with him, I could watch him, and I'd see what he did, and I'd get to think what he's thinking, and because he was a giant in my mind. I mean, Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant literally started personal development as we know it today in recorded fashion. And he started on this Strangest Secret record. So he was really huge. But I studied with Bill Gove, who was a great speaker, Val Vanderwall, Dr. Roeder. I've had just phenomenal mentors. Most of them people, you wouldn't really recognize their names, but they were giants at what they did.
Yeah. Do you remember having big dreams as a kid? Or did you just always think you would amount to nothing, you were a loser? And
I never had any dreams when I was a kid. I think the area I grew up in, we were so poor, things were so rough, but you got to remember, that was during the Great Depression in the 30s. I mean, there's not too many people alive that lived through that anymore. And we didn't have dreams. We just, get by was the deal.
Right.
Now, when I started to read Think and Grow Rich, I was 26. That's when I started to really dream. And
what do you think is the most powerful principle in the book? Obviously, there's a lot of them. For you, what's the thing that stood out?
There's a number of them, but imagination is, and I had learned, see, I was studying many things at the same time. Our higher faculties, school teaches nothing about them. Many seminars don't teach you much about them. We talk about you becoming what you think about, but you've got to go further than that. Most people live through their senses because we're programmed to do that. Literally, we're programmed genetically and then environmentally to go by what we hear, see, smell, taste, touch. But I have a dog at home that can hear, see, smell, taste, touch. All animal life operates through senses. We've been created in God's image. We have these higher faculties. We are creative beings, literally. we have perception, the will, reason, imagination, memory, and intuition. They're the faculties that make us separate from everything else. Like, all the other little creatures on the planet are completely at home in their environment. We're the only creature that's totally disoriented in our environment. And that's because we've been given the faculties to create our own environment.
Right.
But we've never been taught how to use them. Now, we teach that in our company. We teach how to develop your perception, the will. You change your perception, you change your life.
Yeah.
You know, and the will. When John Kennedy asked Dr. Werner von Braun what it would take to build a rocket that would carry a person to the moon, bring him back safely to Earth, von Braun said, he answered him in 5 words. He said, the will to do it. Now, many people would hear that and don't really understand what he said. The ability to hold that picture on the screen of your mind and nothing else, because the will is what gives you the ability to concentrate. Energy flows to and through you. Through concentration, you increase the amplitude of vibration when the energy leaves you. That's how absentee healing's done, through the will. You know, a practitioner will hold the idea, and they'll have the subject relax, be very quiet. They transfer that thought right into the person's subjective mind, and so it affects the body.
Yeah.
Well, the will is very important. So we've got to understand these things, you know. Intuition. I can walk by a person and, like, I could tell, as soon as I walked in the room, I knew exactly what you're like. You operate, you probably studied this, but you operate from almost evenly between the right and left hemisphere of your brain. You've got an interesting mix in your personality.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you know that, but,
Sure.
you know, I could feel that. You're almost an even balance between the two. And, you know, as I say that, I'm trying to figure you're more one than the other, and I don't think you are. Well, your intuition will do that, because your intuition is a mental faculty that picks up vibration and translates it in your mind. It's through intuition that you get answers to your questions. Like, you asked a question, the opposite side of question is an answer. It's the equal and opposite side. So our answer comes with our question, but we're not tuned in to pick it up, you know. Like, every question is an answer. Well, the imagination, of course, it's everything.
Yeah.
So you get these higher faculties and you get using them, and I started to learn how to use these. And I started to see that we've got so much going for us that we never hear about. School doesn't teach us. Our parents don't teach us. You go to work for a company, they don't teach you. So the odds of learning it are really slim, you know. And it's the reason there's so few people that really are successful in life. There's all kinds of material around in success. My goodness, there's more around today than there's ever been.
Yeah.
Self-help books are, you know, top of the bestsellers list.
They're crushing, yeah.
You know, in 1968, when I first started to study this, you had Norman Vincent Peale's Power of Positive Thinking, you know, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Carnegie. It was a few books, you know, Think and Grow Rich, but
yeah.
there weren't that many. Today, there's thousands of them.
Yeah. People need it because they don't know how to use the tools that we have.
But they don't know how to use the information that's in the books.
Right. How do we... So what are these 5 faculties again, you said?
You have perception,
Yeah.
intuition, the will, reason,
Reason.
yeah, imagination. There's 6, and
6?
memory. Like, everybody has a perfect memory. It's just weak.
If you want to learn how to make more money and master money in your life, then check out this video right here.
And the other part is, look, for you young guys, the best teachers are not in colleges. The best teachers are on YouTube. The best teachers are on YouTube. Wake up.